much for having me today. It's funny, I am a trial attorney. I've been doing that for 13, 14 years, so I can speak about many different topics, but when it comes to talking about my life, my son, who is my life, it's a little more emotional, a little harder, so please bear with me. By 18 months, things had gone very, very badly. In fact, I turned to my husband right before the 18-month doctor's appointment and said, Charlie, we're gonna have a problem because I don't know what's going on here. And I wasn't very familiar with autism. What I did know was very limited, and I wasn't sure if it was the shots. I really didn't know. But I can tell you that Ethan's life for him, as well as for everyone else, unfortunately, was truly a nightmare. He didn't sleep more than 2 hours a day at that point, and it was never in a row. So it wasn't like it was 2 hours. He slept for 20 minutes, and then would be up another 10 hours, and then maybe another 20 minutes would go by. And he would collapse. He didn't sleep, he just passed out from exhaustion because he was a runner. And runners are children that are trying to escape. He would bite me especially, I don't know why, but he would bite me at least 50 to 60 times a day. He didn't like he couldn't tolerate the sound of water, he couldn't tolerate the sound of cars, he couldn't tolerate the blender, so he would come and bite me. And he wouldn't let you hold him. He wouldn't play with any of his toys. He wouldn't play with his brother. His brother was 2 years old and kept saying, Mommy, why can't Ethan play with me? Why won't, what's wrong? And I said, I don't know. So I went to my pediatrician and said, look, he's not speaking. He's not making sounds. He's not sleep. I told them everything, and they said, well, if he's not speaking, you should get some speech therapy. I said, well, how do you start with speech therapy when they're not speaking? I said, it's not like there's a sound coming. The only sound I knew was screaming, because at night, he had night terrors. I don't care how hard it was for us, it was hard for him. You could see he was suffering, and that's what broke my heart. So we had different therapists come in, and nothing was working because you couldn't stop him from moving. They couldn't evaluate him, they couldn't do anything. And luckily, the right spot came when my husband found this website called ZEN Defeat Autism Now. And he said, there's something going on here. They're talking about diet. They're talking about nutrition. You have to watch this. And I watched it, and I said, I have never heard of this. I don't know what it is, but hey, let's go for it. And so I was lucky enough, and again, this is a blessing I've gotten. I found Dr. Bach. And that was the day that changed our lives, because Dr. Bach really was able to look at Ethan, hear our story, and say, I don't know if this will work, but I think we can help you. And from that point on, he said, Ethan was the same thing. He was only eating chicken, French fries. And Dr. Bach said, okay, let's try no wheat, no dairy, no gluten. I said, all right. I'm actually not a fan of it. I never really ate bread much or milk, but sure, so this wouldn't be too hard. My son didn't eat for 3 days. This was a battle of wills. And I didn't eat for 3 days because I said, if he's not eating, I'm not eating. That's the rule. And so we cried a lot. But after 3 days, he started to eat. And I made some simple chicken, and he took a couple of bites. And from that point on, 3 days into the diet, 3 days after we started, and 1 day after we started getting him to eat, he slept for the first time through the night. First time in 20 months. And it was extraordinary. I remember, I think I went to bed around 11 o'clock that night, and I woke up at 6 in the morning, and I hadn't done that in 20 months. And I turned to my husband and I said, where's Ethan? And he said, he must be in the crib. I said, he's dead. I said, I'm not getting out of this bed. I said, I'm telling you right now, I can't handle this. I said, there's no way. He hasn't slept in 6 hours. At that point, it was 8 hours he'd slept in a week. I said, there's no way. I went in there, he was sleeping soundly. It was a miracle. And ever since then, it's been a miracle, because for the last 3 years, we've been on the diet, we've done the vitamins, the nutritional therapy, and we've done it ourselves. And I'm proud to say that Ethan has recovered. He's going to regular kindergarten in the fall. If everyone that meets him doesn't believe he's autistic, or he ever was. And it's truly, I say he's my miracle and my other son's my blessing, because he tolerated me flying all over the country and doing all the things I had to do to take care of Ethan. I mean, we had started the nystatin, which is an antifungal treatment at one point, and that was the first time he spoke. 2 days into it, I I'm just in his face all the time. And I'm going, 1, 2, and he goes, 2. And I went, oh my God, what? Let's do that again. And I started screaming and crying. And, you know, now he talks so much, you can't stop him. And I always say I never tell him to shut up. I never tell him to be quiet because I wanted him to talk so much. I just wanted him to say, hi, Mommy. And now, Mommy, I hear 1,000 times a day, and there's nothing better. Yesterday morning, I was talking to my husband and my mother, and he was playing with his brother, I didn't think paying attention to me. And I said something about, everyone's gonna think I'm a loser. And he stopped what he was doing, he came over to me and said, Mommy, you're not a loser, you're a winner. And I said, no, baby, you're the winner. So, thank you very much.